Hi everyone. So the other night, a friend of mine, we went to a concert and he wanted to get some good photos with his iPhone. And he wanted to know what the trick was because I take a lot of photos. And well, the first thing I always say, and particularly at concerts where you've got lights coming, keep your lenses clean. Give it a wipe like this, just with your sleeve, even if it's a selfie on the front as well. It will make your photos look so much sharper. And these things get dirty so quickly because we're always touching those and we're putting it down on surfaces. If you had a camera, you wouldn't stick fingers all over your lens now. So why not keep it clean on your phone as well? It doesn't matter if it's just an iPhone or any other smartphone for that matter, or even if it's a camera, keep it clean. Anyway, the other thing which I said to him is where the magic happens is when you edit them afterwards. And I'm just going to use the Photos app here. But there are other apps as well. And one of the others that I use on here is Lightroom Mobile. I use it on my desktop as well. And it's really great. And it does do a lot more. So what do I do? What is my tip for actually doing this quickly and getting nice results? Well, I'm here in my Photos app. I've got this picture here, a landscape. I'm not saying it's the best landscape I've ever taken, but it's nice. And I can easily make some adjustments to this. If I go into Edit, which is down here, this is iOS 18. On other versions, there's another button that actually says Edit. I'm going to tap on it. And quite often, the first thing that I do is this magic wand button. I just tap on it, the auto button, to see what it does. And you can see what it does by tapping it on and off. Let's see if it's off, if it's back on. So if it's off, you can see the shadows are a bit darker. By tapping on that, it's brought it up a bit. And that's a good place to start. And you might be really happy with that. Now, the other thing that you can do is then go across to each of the settings and see what happens if you change any of them. If you don't like what the auto did, you can just switch it off and go through and make all these changes yourself. But by pressing auto, it sometimes gives you a good starting point. So the next one along is exposure, and I can brighten it up or darken it down and see what it does. Now, I don't think I really needed to change it, but here's my little bit of advice that I think works for just about any setting that you're changing on here. And that is, see what it does. Move it up, brighten it up a bit with the exposure. And if you think you've gone too far, just pull it back a bit. So on this one, I must admit, on the top left-hand side, it's very bright there. Probably not a shot that I would really keep, but it's nice and it reminds me of our day out. You've got many other settings here like brilliance, highlights. So again, bring it down, bring it down. When you've gone too far, you might think, okay, just go back just a little bit more. But actually, truthfully here, that's just so bright I could do that. But next one along is the shadows. They're the darker areas. And again, maybe I do want to bring the detail out a bit. But again, if I slide it up to 100, you can see I've gone too far. So as I said, my tip is go up a bit and then pull it back just a bit. And that's not looking too bad. There are lots of other settings here as well that you can try. Saturation's another useful one. If I increase the saturation, I might think, oh, color's too much. Come back a bit. And that's fine. That's done. Now, there's another one. So the difference is you've got saturation and you've got vibrance. So what's the difference between the two? Well, saturation changes the saturation of the whole picture, whereas vibrance changes it but doesn't really affect the skin tones, which is really good if you've got people in the shot, because sometimes you want to bring out the color but not actually make the skin tones, which can then look really, really awful. Now, one thing I do like to do, a little bit further on here, there's one called Vignette. And what that does is it just darkens the edges. Can you see I'm going to go all the way here. But sometimes just doing a little bit, darkening the edges a tiny bit, just draws attention into the photo. Now, if I didn't like any of that, I can just hit cancel. But if I like it, I can hit done. Okay, so the other thing I could do is go into edit, and you'll see at the top right-hand corner, it's got revert, so it would go back to the other settings. Same thing would apply to crop. Again, that's also non-destructive. If I tap on crop here, and let me just see what settings I've got. It's got original. I could do freeform. If I then tap done and go back into it, go back to crop, I can put it back to where it was before. So there you go. So it's really useful. It's got this non-destructiveness about it. And if you're not sure about that, one thing you can do is you could actually duplicate this before you do it. And that could be useful if you want to try a few different things. So in the top right here, you've got your 3 dots. Tap on it, choose duplicate. You've got duplicate. This was a live photo, so that means it's recording a tiny video so that you can actually choose which frame you want. I could duplicate it as a still photo, which would get rid of that information. I'm just going to tap duplicate, and you can see now it's got the duplicates, these 2 pictures here. So that's nice if you want to have a go at doing that. So I do have some other pictures here. Okay, so the great thing is you can do so much with these. Just very quickly, let's go to this one here, this one of the rows. Again, I could press auto. Doesn't do a bad job. I think this would look great if it was square, so I'm going to go into crop. In the top here on the right, I'm just going to tap on my aspect ratios. I'm going to tap on my aspect ratios. I'm going to tap on square, and maybe move that in just a bit so it's kind of centered there. And once again, I'm going to go back to adjust. Now this is one. Oh, well, that didn't do such a great job there. I kind of messed that up, didn't I? And I'm just going to go across to the vignette. And this is the sort of thing where darkening the edges can really make it pop by bringing it in like that. And I'm just going to tap on done. So what about that concert that I went to? Well, this is a shot. It's including the crowd here. You can see them waving their hands in the air a bit. But let's just see what happens if I go into edit. Let's do that. Let's go to auto. Did a bit. One thing I like to do here is I think when you've got great lighting like this, I like to whack up the contrast. Let's push up the saturation quite a bit. You can have a lot of fun. The great thing about photographing something like this is that it's very creative to start with and a bit crazy. So let's just do that. So there we go. That's what it looks like. That's what happens if you make these kind of adjustments. And one thing you can do, so I'm on the highlights there. If I was to tap on that again, you see where it says -44, that sort of switches it off. Tapping on it again can switch it back on, so you can just tap on it to reset it. So there you go. So that's what you can do in the Photos app. If you've got Lightroom or something like that on your mobile device, you can do even more because there's selective bits that you can do, so you can mask areas and do that. And actually the latest version, which only came out last week, does so much more, where it can even identify skin, teeth, eyes, and so on, and you can individually adjust and enhance those. If you do like this, please do like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you're enjoying going out taking photos with your camera on your phone. And now you can go and edit them, and you know the little tricks as well. So basically, make changes, try them out. Don't forget, you can always revert back. You can make a duplicate, so you've got, if you want, another backup as well. Or you can make many duplicates and try different things and see which ones you like. So the trick is, 1, keep the lens clean. 2, when you make an adjustment, if you think you've gone too far, just come back a little bit. Take care.